าตัวใจกลับบ้านกับอาจารย์สุภวรรณกรีน
I had a good friend, and he was diagnosed dementia, Alzheimer, and he was planning to do suicide, which he eventually did. Since I was a lot with him together, we were discussing, what is your view if somebody kills himself because of this disease which he cannot bear and see the misery of himself and his family, which will come, of course.
Okay, the question is that a friend of yours have Alzheimer and he had planned to commit suicide, and he did it in the end, which means that your friend already gone, and you want to know my opinion. What do I think about this subject, about committing suicide over some kind of illness, because one doesn't want to put the burden onto their families, onto their loved ones to look after them, knowing that it's not going to get any better. Well, this subject, I can only talk from my own personal view. You know, I cannot really talk for other people. If you ask me what I think, would I do that in my position if I had terminal illness, which I know that I'm not going to get any better, and I have to put up with excruciating pain, you know, every moment of my life, or having Alzheimer, which you know that it can only get worse, it's not going to get any better. Am I going to put my family through that? I must say that I don't blame the person who decide to kill themselves. Okay? I mean, this kind of experience, if you are not in that shoes, there is no way that you can understand, you know, what they have been through. Okay? Especially the pain, you know, over the terminal illness or this thing. If you don't have the pain yourself, there is no way that you can understand. And it isn't fair for one, you know, to say that committing suicide is no good, but you're not the one who have to put up with the pain. You're not the one who got to, you know, put the burden on your loved ones to look after you. Now, come back to this point first about ending life, you know, about ending life over the excruciating pain. Okay, you see, this kind of thing, we do it to animals. You know, when a dog or a horse or a bird were really terribly injured, you put them out of misery, you shoot them so that they don't have to suffer too long. I mean, we do it quite not naturally, you know, mercilessly, isn't it? With mercy, you know, to animals. But when it comes to human beings, the issue become complex, you know, you got all these moral issues, this and that. But I still think that the bottom line is still the same. So this is what they call mercy killing. You kill out of mercy. Okay, you don't want them to put through the pain. I always remember this subject, this example that my teacher have put forward, you know, many years ago, some 30, 40 years ago. But it always stick in my mind. The story went like this, that a father and a son, you know, went into the wood and then walk around the cliff or whatever. And then the son fall off the cliff and he stuck into the very sharp branch, the branch, go through his body, something like that, hanging like that. But he's not dead. He wasn't dead. So if you are the father, what you're going to do, that the injury like that, the accident like that, your son might not, survive. Would you kill your son to put him out of, misery, out of the pain? Or would you just, let him hang on like that and let him die slowly? So you see an example like this is exactly the way that we treat an animal. The dog is suffering with all this pain, so you just put them to sleep, which is what we call mercy killing or euthanasia. I think it's the same meaning. Okay, but in the case of your friend, that is a straightforward suicide. I mean, your friend, I would think that he was still in the early stage of Alzheimer, so his mind was still quite sound, quite stable, but he knew that if he lived it too long, okay, all the care will be the burden for his loved ones, which he doesn't want to burden them. He loved them too much, to put that kind of responsibility for them. And with Alzheimer, it can drag on for many years. I have some close relative, it's only my sister-in-law. Her father has been suffering from Alzheimer for, many years. And then it can only get worse. Until the end, he could not, recognize his own family. And very often he would, in his slipper, he would just run away from home or from the hospital or whatever in his pajamas, and walk here and there. I remember that once they got to have a helicopter, to search for him. This is how bad that it can get, and it puts tremendous strain onto the carer, who got to care for the Alzheimer patients. Okay, so your friend knew all this problem that it would come if he leave his illness, too long. Okay, so I think that he was very brave to be able to come up with this kind of decision. This is not something that you can take it very lightly or think, find the answer that easily. You've got to be very sure about your decision, about yourself. Okay, which I truly admire his decision. I think he's very brave to do that. Okay, and yeah, I mean, I don't blame him in the slightest because we are not in his shoes. Who are we to judge that, is doing the wrong thing? We can't judge that. Not until, we got to put up with the pain ourselves. Okay? Only then would we know that, will you understand, why people choose to have mercy killing, choose to have the option of euthanasia. Because the end of the day, this is your life, isn't it? This is your life, so therefore, you should have the saying whether you want to keep your life, prolong your life, or end your life. Okay, because this is your life. Okay, as long as you do it with the sound mind. So the issue of euthanasia, I don't have any objection at all. It's mercy killing. I don't have any objection. I quite agree with that. And in Europe now, there are quite a few countries which have made euthanasia become legal, but not in England. England haven't have this law yet. But I won't be surprised at all that in the future, euthanasia will become a more common solution for lots of people. And of course, we got to, assess or have good regulation, It cannot be something that do it that easily. Got to go through lots of counseling, through whatever, to make it safe for people to do this. There were many cases of people who are here in England have to travel to Switzerland or to Holland so that they can have the permission to end their life, in the legal way. Okay, so this is my opinion to your question. I hope this helps. Okay, thank you very much once again for your question, and goodbye.